Bellator 275. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Gegard Mousasi, Austin Vanderford in the main event. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and share the video as well. Let's jump right into these predictions. Common trend with Bellator we're really starting to see is, lesser fights on the early prelims. So I will note that right now. This first fight, it's Lee Hammond versus Jamie Hay. On the side of Hammond, he's 1-0 as a pro. Good prospect over at SBG Ireland. Had a long amateur career and fought in championship level tournaments as an amateur. Jamie Hay, as an amateur, had some wins, took 6 years off before making his comeback fairly recently. I guess not super recently, 2.5 years ago, and then nearly 2 years ago. So honestly, not recently. Inactivity strong on the Jamie Hay side, and his 2 wins as a pro. Nothing to be too excited about. 0-7 fighter, 0-5 fighter. Out the gate, I'm going to tell you I'm picking Hammond. This shouldn't be competitive. It seems like, Hay is not that much of a full-time fighter. I mean, obviously there's not a ton on a guy with the lack of experience, but from what I've seen, a wrestler, he starts fast, he wants fights on the floor, and he has a submission game where he'll shoot for things. It's a heel hook in one of his wins. Lee Hammond on the other side seems like he does it all pretty well. He's a rangy kickboxer and he manages distance pretty nicely. I like his kicking skills to all levels. He attacks with very good kicks and they have serious power. Has that power in his rear hand, similar to maybe a McGregor. Not really saying there's strong comparisons there, but SBG Ireland striker with promise. I guess you have to somewhat give him a comparison to Conor. Lee Hammond should definitely get the win here. I expect him to knock Jamie Hay out. Hay's also 36 years of age, and he's only 2-0 as a pro. Hammond for the win, knockout. Betting side of things on this one, I'm not really going to be recommending anybody touch it. It's -625. Hay upwards of +450 as the underdog. Hammond is a massive favorite here. And I mean, it's understandable why he would be. He seems like he's the full-time fighter, where his opponent doesn't seem like he's planning to make a career out of this. Hammond for the win by knockout. Be cautious on these early Bellator prelims, though, because you could definitely burn some cash, even parlaying things up with just strange results, which we have seen in the past. Next fight, still keeping it on the lower level side of things. 1-2 Scott Pedersen, and then Nathan Kelly, who's 3-2. Kelly is an SBG Ireland guy. I am thinking he gets the win here. There's promise. I mean, he's 3-2, but he's on a 3-fight win streak. Just beat a guy, I believe it was 7-0 if I'm not mistaken. 6-0, excuse me. That's still impressive, right? To beat a 6-0 guy. 3-2, granted. You never know, especially in MMA today. It's almost reminding me more of boxing. When you start looking at a lot of records of these like up-and-coming guys on these early prelims, there's fighters who are only fighting debuting fighters or fighting 0-1 guys, 0-2 guys. Yeah, they're 6-0, but they've never fought somebody with a winning record. Nathan Kelly, I do expect to have a good skill set. I'm picking him to win. I think that he is a superior striker to Pedersen. Pedersen seems to be okay with the stand-up game. He does have a pretty quick jab, and he has also a pretty solid straight right that he can work when he gets into range. I feel like I do have some respect for Pedersen here. He's not, at the same level as Hay, the last guy we saw that didn't seem like he was doing this for the long shot. He's only 25, 1-2 record. I don't think he's going to have much success here against the more experienced Nathan Kelly. Leaning towards, though, a fairly competitive bout and a decision win on the Kelly side. I do think he gets it done. I think he has a little bit better striking. He's a better athlete. With these guys right here that have minimal pro experience, haven't fought at the highest stage, lots of question marks, could be a risky bet. Not one that I'll be touching. I don't bet Bellator early prelims ever. -300 for Kelly. Pedersen +260. You can't have crazy odds like that on a fight of this caliber. I think it's not worth a touch here, but I'll go the Kelly side for the win, and I am leaning decision for him. Next fight of the night. Now things heat up a bit. Now we're getting into mixed martial arts action that I can get excited about. It is Kirill Sidelnikov versus Gokhan Saricam. Prospect battle in this heavyweight division. Sidelnikov has been around for a long time. I remember when he was Baby Fedor over in Ryzen. Hasn't really lived up to the hype. but I'm leaning the baby Fedor upset side. You look at the depth of experience, it's definitely far superior to Gokhan Saricam. Yes, Saricam has looked good. Fast wins in his past two, beating up lower level opponents, stopping them both in the first round. His most recent one was in like 15 seconds. Sidelnikov on the other side has good experience against top guys. I mean, he's a, Fedor protege. I feel like his hands are really fast for a heavyweight. He moves pretty well too. His striking skill set is nice, but he also has a good grappling game. He's heavy when he's on top, has pretty solid takedowns and persistent ground and pound. Certainly a good jab he'll work on the feet, which I do like. Granted, undersized as far as height and reach go. You look at Saricam, he's got the range edge, 5'11" to 6'3" for Saricam. Only a 2-inch reach edge, though. Saricam is a pretty solid kickboxer, pretty nice wrestling, but the wins we're seeing from him are not against Kirill Sidelnikov level fighters. I think Sidelnikov is a live underdog. I'm going with him here. He is a pretty wide dog, and I don't know. I think that there's not enough on Saricam for me to be confident in him at minus 325 best value. You can find Sidelnikov plus 260. This is a dog or pass fight all day. Give me the underdog. Give me Kirill Sidelnikov, and I'm going knockout. I think he's going to stop him sometime in the 3 rounds. I think he could potentially beat up Saricam towards the 2nd or 3rd. If Saricam were to win and prove me wrong here, wouldn't be absolutely shocked. It would just prove, okay, he is a legit prospect, and now we'll really have an idea of what level he's on. But I think Sidelnikov is live in this spot, and I will ride with the underdog by KO. Baby Fedor for the win, and get yourself some nice plus money if you want to sprinkle at it. Next fight of the night, Daniele Scatizzi versus Vladimir Tokov. Lightweight battle here. Tokov 5-1 record, but definitely comes in with some decent hype. It's Anatoly Tokov's brother here. And, I've been impressed from what I've seen. He has a split decision loss to Chris Gonzalez in the last fight. That's not a bad loss to have. Daniel Scatizzi on the opposite side, though, I have to note some things. I mean, first, I'm going to tell you out the gate. Actually, let me give you the winner. I'm picking Tokov, so you guys don't have to wait for that. But let's get into the actual breakdown side for this fight. Scatizzi is a pressure-style wrestler. Chain wrestling attack. Very heavy when he presses you up against the cage. Will work towards takedowns. Wants to be on top and does good work from there. Against the cage, he'll grind you out too. Striking, he more uses it to close distance and get inside and work for takedowns. I see overhand punches and hooks, and then him really trying to squeeze inside and get close to his opponent. I think Tokov defends the takedowns here. He's shown pretty solid takedown defense, has pretty insane flexibility if you remember that Chris Gonzalez fight. His striking game, I would say, is pretty solid. Kickboxing style, bouncy on his feet, light-footed really, and he moves very well, attacks low kicks nicely. I see Tokov outstriking Scatizzi. I see him landing better shots on the feet, defending the takedowns, and I think Tokov wins by a decision. 5-1, 11-5. This is a good test for Tokov, and I do think he passes this one. Now, looking at the lines for this spot, Tokov right now is a huge favorite, minus 325, Scatizzi plus 265. Those odds are way too wide. It just makes it unappealing to play, and I won't be, but Scatizzi, if I was making the odds, right, and we're doing fair odds, which is not the way the bookies are going to go towards it, I'm putting Scatizzi at maybe plus 150. I don't think he's that big of an underdog against a 5-1 Tokov, though I think Tokov gets the win. Tokov for the W, but the odds are terrible here. Very hard to make a bet. Next fight of the night, Junior Morgan versus the debuting Darragh Kelly. Kelly comes in with some hype. SBG Ireland guy, good amateur background. He now fights Junior Morgan, who's 36, and he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. 36 years of age as well. That's not a good sign for a guy with just 3 pro MMA fights. I mean, I feel like we know the way this fight is going to go. It's going to go the Darragh Kelly way. This is definitely a setup fight. An opponent in Junior Morgan with a nice 3-0 record for Kelly to get a good win in his debut, and it will look nice. I mean, obviously, there's some belief in Kelly, too. Unbeaten as an amateur, pretty fast starter, his hands are quick, and has a nasty submission skill set. We haven't seen it at a higher level, though. We'll find out how he looks against Junior Morgan, and then obviously there'll be a lot more to say the next time we break this guy down. But with Junior Morgan, southpaw, he looks pretty rangy with his kickboxing as a height edge here, 6'1" to 5'11". He's a decent athlete, and if he does get on top of you, works some good ground and pound, and he is a hard guy to shake off. He holds position well from the top, and he also has dangerous high kicks, something to note. but I don't think he'll beat Darragh Kelly here. It's not a fight that I love the bet on either side, really. Looking at the betting side for this one, Darragh Kelly is a minus 350 favorite. Junior Morgan plus 280. I'm thinking Kelly wins, leaning him by TKO. Could also see a decision, but bet not on this one. Not for me. I'm not betting on a debuting fighter versus, a 36-year-old 3-0 fighter. Too many question marks. Odd matchup, but I think Darragh Kelly should definitely win, and I'm expecting a fairly impressive debut here in his pro career. Darragh Kelly for the W. Next fight of the night, some ladies going after it at 115. It is Danny McCormack versus Stephanie Page. I like the McCormack strong fairly confidently. I expect wrestling and grinding style wrestling from McCormack. From what I've seen, she has that grind you down, beat you up type of style. She'll wear on you. She'll throw pepper and ground and pound, and she'll be persistent with it. Also fights out of the southpaw stance. The striking is not going to be your go-to, but obviously she'll have an okay striking game. Paige on the other side is a skilled striker, and she has some pretty nice speed. She definitely has potential, certainly on the feet, but I think as soon as they clinch up and it goes to the floor, I think McCormack's a level difference as far as the technique goes, of grappling overall and wrestling too. Paige is scrappy for certain. I think she'll scramble in positions. Seems like a girl who's relentless, isn't going to quit, isn't going to make you it's not going to be an easy night for you to beat up a girl like Stephanie Page, but Danny McCormack is going to be able to work her over the 3 rounds. I'm thinking unanimous decision for Danny McCormack here. Looking at the lines for this fight, McCormack is minus 170, Page plus 150. Something you want to sit down, maybe you want to play a little something on it. Personally, women's MMA, Bellator prelims, I'm going to sit out on this one, but if you're feeling it, McCormack side. That's my pick here. I do think she wins it by a unanimous decision over Stephanie Page. Next fight of the night. Things get interesting here. It's Charlie Leary versus Davy Gallon. It's a fun fight. I think it's very competitive. I'll note that straight out the gate. Davy Gallon has that sweet rolling thunder knockout of Ross Pearson some years back. That was insane. Also has a win in Bellator. Charlie Leary, tough guy. I'm leaning the Charlie Leary upset side for the reason his boxing skills are very smooth. He lets his hands fly nicely. He's rangy. He's got a height edge here, 6 foot to 5'8", 73-inch reach to 68.5. Leary can mix it up with a nice jab, follows it with a nice cross as well. If he gets close, he'll mix it up with the hooks. He's a guy that's not afraid to exchange on the feet, and his high kicks are deadly too. Now, on the floor, he's not extremely master class level, and I mean, he is 39 years of age, but he has a competent ground game. On the opposite side, Davy Gallon is a skilled striker. From what I've seen, very good low kick attack, dangerous kicks overall. I mean, he's got a rolling thunder knockout. This guy's got some kicks in the arsenal for certain. He will mix in the wrestling, and I do expect him to try to do it with Charlie Leary here. I don't know why I have this feeling Leary is going to overwhelm him with combination strikes and pressure and slowly break Gallon down. I'm liking the Charlie Leary KO side. Maybe in the second round as well. As far as the odds for this one, Charlie Leary, who is the dog, plus 155, Gallon minus 175. I'm liking the Charlie Leary side, and I think he wins by KO. I think he's going to upset Davy Gallon here. I don't think you can sleep on him. He has physical advantages, and I do think the boxing tools favor the Charlie Leary side, which is why I'm picking him to get the win over Davy Gallon, the king of the rolling thunder. It was an emphatic knockout, but I think this time it's his turn to be knocked out, and the Charlie Leary side is going to hand him this loss here in Bellator. Next fight of the night. Featured prelim. Brett Johns versus Khurshed Kakhorov. This is an interesting fight. Brett Johns was in the UFC and seemed to be solid level. I mean, he beat Montel Jackson. He then jumps to Bellator, takes on Danny Sabatello, and dominated in the wrestling department. Something I expected. Sabatello's a beast and is UFC caliber, but wasn't signed on the Contender Series because of his style. Khurshed coming in with some hype. SBG Ireland guy, Tajikistan fighter. I'll be honest though, from what I've seen, I'm not like overly impressed by him. He seems to have an okay stand-up game. Sometimes I do think he'll throw his punches like a bit stiffly, maybe just arm punching a bit. I don't know. It doesn't look all that great. He's a physically strong guy, and he does shine in the wrestling department. Good in the clinch against the cage, heavy on top, can beat you up. Does have a bit of power in the hooks though. Has knockout wins in the past. Looking at the Brett Johns side, good wrestler and a grinding style of wrestling. Now has been hurt by punches. Can get stunned. We've seen it happen to him before. Will wear opponents down against the cage, and he'll make it maybe a boring fight. You know, if it's not emphatic grappling exchanges, if somebody's not giving him great resistance, but enough to just make him grind, Brett Johns will grind you out for 3 rounds. I lean the Brett Johns side here, but I do think Kakhorov is definitely live. Now, looking at the lines, Johns minus 185, Khurshed Kakhorov plus 165. I'm going to have to stick with the Brett Johns win by decision side. I think he'll grind him on the decision, but we've seen Johns hurt before. If Khurshed can land some powerful strikes, he might hurt him. There's definitely an upside to betting the underdog here. I'm not loving a Miles Johns money line bet. I definitely more of the dog attack when I jump on Bellator betting. But something to note, Khurshed could be live, but I still am on Brett Johns. Win by a decision. I expect him to grapple the hell out of Khurshed and probably have some serious edges in that department. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn those post notifications on, and let's talk about it. It is Brian Moore versus Jornel Lugo. Lugo is a serious prospect to keep an eye on. I am picking the Lugo side. I don't think many will be surprised by that. I really like his overall game. Solid striking, very slick style, keeps that lead hand low, will throw a very nice jab. He has a good double jab too. It's not like he'll just throw one at you. He'll follow it by a mean straight right. He's fast. He makes you want to go to the ground with him, and that's where he has a nasty submission skill set. Very good off the ground, has nice chokes. You look at the last one, was able to beat Keith Lee, put him unconscious at the very end with the rear naked choke of the first round. It was like the bell rung, and Keith Lee was out. It was an impressive W. Lugo is definitely one of those prospects to keep an eye on here. Hopefully he makes weight this time out. 26 years of age. Things to like certainly on the Jornel Lugo side. Brian Moore, tough journeyman, vet. Scrappy, has given solid fighters tests. I mean, he fought AJ McKee some years ago, has fought Daniel Vaicho, has fought good competition. Most recent one was against Nikita Mikhailev. Got beat up a little bit there, but Mikhaileev's a real prospect, like similar to Jornel Lugo, right? Moore is scrappy with the stand-up and can out-wrestle some guys. I just think Lugo's way too much for him here. The physical attributes, as far as the range advantage, I think that's a factor. Speed definitely favors Lugo. I think technically he's better. I expect Brian Moore at some point to potentially try to shoot when he's getting outstruck, and I think Jornel Lugo could lock up a choke. I like Jornel Lugo win by submission over Brian Moore in this fight. Looking at the lines for this matchup here, Lugo is a huge favorite, minus 400. Brian Moore plus 325. There's nothing you can really do on the betting side. Sit down, watch. Maybe you play the prop of submission. We'll talk about it when it drops. I like Jornel Lugo for the win over Brian Moore. Submission to start this main card off. Next fight of the night, Khasan Magomedsharipov versus Jose Sanchez, or I guess Jose Sanchez most likely. This is Khasan's fight. Guys, there's no chance I pick against Magomedsharipov. He's going to do his thing out there. Look deeper at the record of Jose Sanchez or Jose Sanchez. You know, I guess he's Spanish. It's probably Jose. He's not Brazilian, so it won't be Jose. You look at recent fights, I mean, lesser experienced guys with losing records, lost to a 9-4 fighter just 7 months ago. Khasan Magomedsharipov has that thing that his brother has. It's the crisp striking that comes so quickly and almost effortlessly. The way he's able to throw out his strikes. His kicks are fantastic. His punching is very good. He's precise as hell. He has a grappling game too. He has a patient pressure style of attack. And I do think that pressure is going to slowly break Sanchez down. Sanchez is a decent kickboxer, more of your traditionalist Muay Thai style. I see Khasan Magomedsharipov picking him apart on the feet, finding openings, sniping him. Sanchez might try to throw a bit of low kicks, but his stand-up game for me is just way too stiff. I see him getting outstruck. He might get knocked out here. I think Sanchez is going to look to grapple. I think he's going to look to try to get Magomedsharipov to the floor. I think he's going to run into some serious trouble there. I think Khasan Magomedsharipov probably wins by submission over Jose Sanchez. I'm definitely on the Magomedsharipov side, as the majority of probably the world is here. He's a minus 900 favorite. Jose Sanchez plus 680. We'll see what the submission prop is when it drops. Maybe we can get a little plus money and play that down. Wouldn't be shocked if it's minus 200 for that submission prop or something like that. But hopefully we get some plus side. Khasan Magomedsharipov win by submission over Jose Sanchez. Should be a showcase performance for the 6-0 fighter here. Now the featured bout of the night. Ciaran Clarke versus Abou Tounkara. Ciaran Clarke is a very tricky grappler. I like his game. I'm picking him to win this fight here. When you look at Tounkara, you have a guy who's extremely athletic and explosive and does have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, so you can't knock his accolades on the floor. But the way he wrestles, it's so much more using force and strength as opposed to technique. I see Ciaran Clarke, I see a guy that might not be as strong, probably isn't as strong as Abou, but technically far superior in the wrestling department. His technique is on point. He has a grinding style, striking. He's comfortable out of both stances, and he has very good speed, times his takedowns very well, and he also works well pressing his opponents against the cage. I believe he'll find trips from there. I expect him to find his way on top, work his game, try to set up submissions, could potentially submit Abou Tounkara, but I'm leaning towards Ciaran Clarke win by a decision here. I'd like to see him get the submission. He's 4-0, Tounkara 7-2. I don't think you can totally write off Abou Tounkara here. He's going to make it a difficult fight, but I think Clarke is just technically superior. Win by a unanimous decision for the Ciaran Clarke side. As far as the lines on this one, minus 400 Clarke, plus 320 for Abou Tounkara. I wish the line was closer. I really do, but Ciaran Clarke, big favorite against a really athletic prospect here, but the athleticism style, it's just not going to match up well when you see technique. A guy trying to force takedowns versus a technically proficient grappler is going to be a level difference. Though Tounkara is technical enough. He's 4-0, or excuse me, he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He's fighting a 4-0 fighter. But Ciaran Clarke, just more technical, especially off the wrestling transitions. He's not going to use force. He's going to use technique. And I'm going with technique all day here. Ciaran Clarke win, unanimous decision here. Co-main event of the evening, Leah McCourt versus Sinead Kavanagh. I like the Sinead Kavanagh side. I've never been super impressed with Leah McCourt, but I will note some things about McCourt. Light-footed striker, fights tall. She is a tall girl at 5'8". Pretty good 1-2. Does have an okay right hand. She'll follow it with a little bit snap on it. Pretty strong in the clinch and works nice trips against the cage. She wants to be on top and grinding you out. Sinead Kavanagh is a confident and rangy striker. She definitely looks to throw power shots. Her power straight is on the money. She actually has a really nice jab. She'll follow it with quality hooks. The boxing game overall of Sinead Kavanagh is something I really enjoy watching. I think she's a level above Leah McCourt with the hands here. The question is, will she stop the takedowns? Will she be able to deal with that persistent clinching against the cage? I believe Sinead Kavanagh will. I think she goes out and wins a hard-fought decision, landing the more significant strikes and fending off majority of takedown attempts from Leah McCourt. If she does get taken down, I think Kavanagh finds her way up. Both SBG fighters, though, out of different SBG gyms. You have SBG Ireland, both out of Dublin, though, and then it's SBG Charleston, Dublin. So some inner gym rivalry here matching up, but when you're at the highest level, you got to fight people even if they're associated with the same gym as you. SBG is a huge gym at this point. I'm going Sinead Kavanagh for the win. I expect her to get it done, and I do think she will let the hands fly, and it'll be an impressive performance. Now, the lines on this one are actually close, which I'm glad to see. About minus 128, minus 135 for Sinead Kavanagh, depending where you're at. Leah McCourt, a plus 110 dog. I'm on the Kavanagh side. I expect her to win. Unanimous decision. Her hands should be on display here, and she should be able to fend off the grappling attack of Leah McCourt. Sinead Kavanagh for the win by a unanimous decision. Let's jump to the main event. If you guys haven't yet, smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Gegard Mousasi versus Austin Vanderford. Such a fun fight. between these two middleweights. It's great matchmaking. It's, you know, the old lion, 48-7, has been around forever. Gegard was the Strikeforce champ versus an 11-0 prospect on the rise. It's Austin Vanderford, Paige Van Zandt's husband. I've actually met him, and I gotta say, Vanderford comes off as a very nice guy. I'm a fan of Austin Vanderford immediately, especially after that interaction. I got to go one-on-one with him. Very cool dude. Doesn't matter if he's a cool dude, though. Will he win this fight? I expect him to. I think Gegard Mousasi has slown in recent years. I don't see the same Gegard. Yes, he beat up John Salter. John Salter's an older guy in the weight class. Not an old guy, but faded out more as in time. Austin Vanderford is on this rise. He's 11-0. He's yet to face defeat as a pro. His wrestling game is extremely good, and he's also very athletic. He'll use his striking to set up takedowns. I believe he will land takedowns on Mousasi. The question is, can he hold Mousasi down? I believe he will be able to hold Mousasi down the majority of the time. You look at Gegard back in the day, fighters were able to hold him down. Old fight, King Mo, Gegard Mousasi. Gegard did more from the bottom. King Mo was on top, still won a decision. I don't suggest it will look exactly like that, but something to note. That's, you know, maybe a similar matchup. Very good athletic wrestler taking on Mousasi, but this is an older Mousasi. His stand-up looks slowed. I'm telling you, I see a difference. He's always been a very calm fighter, uses his hands well, but I feel like his chin is coming up higher. The way his punches are being released is just not the same as it once was. Maybe I'm overhyping the age of Gegard Mousasi, but I also am just impressed by Vanderford as a prospect. He was not signed after his Contender Series win, and he's been on a tear since then. He's doing very good work in Bellator. I expect wrestling-heavy attack. You stand up with Gegard, you risk getting yourself in trouble. But still, Gegard Mousasi, not a one-punch knockout artist. It's not like he's got the Derek Lewis touch, whereas Austin Vanderford's on the feet and gets hit one time, the fight's probably over. Mousasi is a volume-striking guy. I feel like you're going to see Vanderford chain wrestle the hell out of him from start to finish. The question mark will line, does Vanderford have the gas tank? I'm going to have to go out on a whim and say he does, though the 5-round championship experience is not something we've seen from him yet. I expect us to be impressed with Austin Vanderford. I see a new champion. I see a changing of the hands. It's time for Bellator to have someone new to get behind here. I think Austin Vanderford is that guy. Austin Vanderford win by unanimous decision. He's going to beat Gegard Mousasi and become the new middleweight champion of Bellator. Now, looking at the odds, Vanderford plus 200, Mousasi minus 235. Give me the underdog, Austin Vanderford here. I'm going with him. I'm riding with my guy. I expect him to win. I expect the wrestling to be a big difference maker. John Salter had success in that first round, but he got tired. He started fatiguing. Gegard kept with the volume, and Salter could not keep up. Vanderford will keep up. I see the difference being in the cardio, the athleticism, the physical strength, and the overall top control you get from Vanderford is going to be better than John Salter at this point. I'm going with the young lion on the rise, Austin Vanderford, to beat Gegard Mousasi and new middleweight champion. Looking through the entire Bellator 275 card, it's a pretty decent one. I will be live for this main card, so make sure you guys tune into that Fight Companion. Special time, though. It's Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific. The fight's in Dublin, so they're doing it a bit earlier, you know, working with their time. Totally understandable. They don't want to be, you know, at the event at, 4 in the morning watching the fights. Prelims, there's some slower ones, but there's also some good ones. But I'll be live for that main card, so make sure you come hang out with me when that goes down. It's Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific. I hope you guys enjoyed the full card predictions. Be very cautious betting Bellator, but there's still money to be made. Attack those underdogs. That's my best advice for Bellator, and bet intelligently. Don't go too crazy. Sprinkles, little bit of bets. You can save the majority of the bankroll for UFC, but if you're really feeling confident about somebody in Bellator, last week Logan Storley came through big for us. I see another underdog, and this time in the main event, and I see it for Austin Vanderford. Much love, my people. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for the content all week. This week's Best MMA Bets dropping Wednesday. Thursday, the money line with me and Mike Finch. Friday, I got the full Bellator live stream for the main card, and then also the UFC weigh-in recap show. And Saturday, I'll be live for that full UFC Vegas 49 card. Smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn those post notifications on. Share the video too. Much love, my people, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.